So before we get into the video, there's actually some updated news. This came out a few days after I made the initial video, but the Definitive Edition beta is going to be out soon. If you're an Age Insider, you can receive this information. Definitely sign up on the Age of Empires website. But they're going to be starting it in February, so it's right around the corner. It's going to be fantastic. And all the information that you need is here. So beta information is out, and signups will be in February.
What's going on, guys? SamuraiRevolution here, and today we have an Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition video. You guys have highly requested this, and I'm going to try to do this again. I've been doing it last 40 minutes, and I was barely even halfway down the page. I was talking way too much about specific details. So we're going to try to reduce this a little more, make it a little more condensed. This is like a 25-minute gameplay clip, so hopefully I can get it all in that time. And yeah, so I literally have just thought the past day, I put all my thoughts down on paper. I thought about all the things I'd like to change or add to the Definitive Edition. And I know that some of these things are not going to be in the game, but these are still things I would like to see added or changed. So first thing I'm going to talk about are specific gameplay changes. Then I'm going to talk about specific civilization changes. New civs I'd like to see added. Maps that I would like to see added, or map regions and stuff like that. And last, multiplayer features. So we're going to go through it real quick and dive into it. Behind you, you're just going to see a gameplay clip of a 1v1 I did with a subscriber. And hopefully I can stay a little more on task this time. It'll be fun. So first thing I have on here is diplomacy added. I do not think that this is going to be added, but I'd love to see diplomacy in the game. I'd love to see it for specifically for free-for-all. With that, I would love to see the ability to have multiple teams. So like a 2v2, v2, v2, or something like that. Excuse me. ESOC patch currently has this feature, which I think is awesome. But I would love to see diplomacy added in there with the multiple teams. I just think that'd be a really good feature. But they've talked about how that's not going to be in Age of Empires 4, so I don't think it's going to be in Age of Empires 3. Overlapping cav box needs to be removed. Everyone knows about this. If you put your units on defensive mode and you have a ranged unit inside of melee units, all the melee units overlap. I think they can just fix this by having a limited number. So like maybe like 8 for cavalry around the 1. We're not overlapping. I think that's really silly. And it's way too strong. You can get inside walls within seconds. You can take down buildings in seconds. And the issue is that all the units can siege at the same time. And it's way too small of a unit group going through. Like you can literally get 49 cavalry and 1... bow cav through one wall segment. It's crazy. So that needs to be fixed. Additionally, Explorer exploit where you can respawn them needs to be fixed. So if your Explorer dies, there is a button combination that you can press where they respawn instantly on the spot. Needs to be removed. It does not need to be in the game. Fix cannon Limburg glitch. So I don't know what this is exactly, but for some reason when you move your cannons from unlimber to limber, they get stuck. They do this like rotating thing, or it doesn't quite limber. I don't know what the cause of that is, but that definitely needs to be removed. Cannons are already somewhat difficult to use for newer players, and it could be very frustrating if your 2 Falconet shipment gets lost because the cannons cannot figure out how to put on a horse. So that's really frustrating. It definitely needs to be removed or fixed. Next one, remove dead animals seen on map. So this is definitely a thing. As you can see there, so you have the deer that you could see there that was dead. And my opponent can see that that deer is killed. He doesn't need to rescout it. There's no need to go and cross and scout it. If you have scouted the area of the map where the hunt is, you can see where the hunt is moving, and you can see if any of the animals have died. This does not need to be a thing. I totally think that it needs to be where you just rescout the area, and then you can see what it is. It does not change. Then you go and rescout it, and it'll change on your map when you've seen what it is when you rescout it. That's what it needs to be. I don't know why they have it to where you can see dead animals without having to rescout it. It's really strong for raiding and stuff like that. And additionally, you can even see like on the trees when people are chopping it. If you look closely, the tree moves. You can see those trees moving as well. So you can see maybe where they have villagers chopping wood and stuff like that. It's way too strong. Needs to be fixed. Next thing, this might seem like a very awkward addition or a feature change, but each time you buy your Explorer ransom, it doubles in cost. So right now when you buy your Explorer, it's 100 gold. I would have this double every time you do it for 2 reasons. One, it would stop players from maybe that you're trying to hunt down an end to stop continuously buying their Explorer. If maybe they're trying to run away or something, and make it a little bit easier for you to trap them so they just don't do it 100 times over. But the more important reason is because, for example, the Portuguese, they have a card. Not a lot of people know about this. I might make a video about this at some point. They have a card where you can send multiple Explorers. I think it's 3. It might be 4. I think it's 3. So you can send and have 3 Explorers. You can send another card that doubles their hit points, and then you can go Imperial and make their hit points even more. And there's parts across the map where you can grab hit points for your Explorer. With all this said, when you put your Explorer in melee mode, they attack enemy units, but when you use the attack move to try to attack, it would automatically attack the Explorer because the Explorer is the closest unit. It might not seem like an issue, but when you have 3 high hit point Explorers all doing this, you can't really attack the enemy without microing around it, and it's very difficult to deal with, especially with the Portuguese. So I'd have it to where every time you respawn your Explorer, it doubles, because this would stop port players from continuously spamming their Explorers right on the front lines for only 100 gold. And at least make it cost more, and it would not infinitely go throughout the game. It's very hard to deal with. So that's just a small change. Probably the longest one to explain so far. Next thing, all European civs can make town centers with their villagers or remove the ability for the Asian/native civs. So for some reason, when they did the Asian dynasties and the War Chiefs expansion, the villagers for those civilizations could make town centers, but the European civilizations could only make town centers from their explorers. This needs to change. I don't know why no one's brought this up before. But this, at least at the minimum, needs to be either all the villagers need to be able to make town centers, including the European civs, or only the explorers. I think it's way too strong that they can just go around with one villager and make a whole new colony when you need your specific explorer if you're playing a European civ. So that definitely needs to be changed. I don't know why that's not been changed before. Especially because some of the Asian civs have 2 explorers anyways, so like they don't need to have their villagers do it. Next one, can only drop troops off on shores, not cliffs. This might seem extremely random, but it doesn't matter where on the water you drop your units off, whether it's on a shore or a massive cliff, all the units can be dropped off. And this is an issue because there are some parts of the game, or some maps, where there are huge cliffs, like massive cliffs. Your ship is way down here, and you can still drop units up all the way above the cliff. This is really annoying because when you're new to the game, it doesn't seem like it's possible to drop units off there. But for some reason, you can drop units off there. You don't build walls there because you're like, there's no way he can drop troops off. It doesn't look like you can, and you can. So either they need to make it where it's not, you can't do it on the cliffs, which I think would be cool because then it would make the shores more tactical. Make them more of a drop-off landing zone and stuff like that, which would be kind of cool. That is a perfect example of a huge cliff that you could drop units off on. Or they need to make it where it's more clear that you can drop units off on the cliffs. I think it'd be kind of cool if the cliffs could not be used for drop-offs. I think it would make it more fun and give the specific areas of the map more value. Next thing here, when native explorers respawn, they do at the town center. So right now, like if you revive the chief with the dance for the Aztecs, he just gets up off the ground. He needs to be respawned at the town center. Does not need to come right off the ground. Needs to be like the air civilizations. Fixed crate starts. This has been talked about by higher up level players like Diaruga and others, how there are some matchups where it's very unfair. I think the one he talked about was Dutch with someone else. So for example, if you get a coin start, for the Dutch it's going to be more beneficial because you can make a villager. But with someone like British, you're not going to use the coin off the start, so it's not as good of it's a bad start for you basically, and so you're already behind at the very beginning of the game. That's definitely an issue. So that could be changed. I don't know how they would change that, but that could be changed. Maybe specific matchups, do you have more balanced starts, or overall you just have the same exact, I don't know. But I think that would be more beneficial. I don't think it's an issue until you get up to the higher level games generally, but I still think that needs to be changed at some point. Random civilizations, I don't know why this isn't a thing, but it totally needs to be where you can choose any civilization to play. So for example, when you get into your game to start, you can have it as a question mark, and then it randomly chooses civilization for you. I think this would be so much fun. I would love to do streams with this. 1v1 matchups would be a lot more fun and interesting. I think that'd be great. Next thing, limit resource trading amounts per age. So right now, there's no limit to how much resource you can trade. This used to be one of the most broken things, especially in vanilla. I've seen it a couple times in the Asian dynasties. But essentially, you could just trade resources to one player, have that player age up all the way to age 4, and then they have vast superior unit shipments they can send in. They could even send in team shipments. So, like, for example, if someone was autos, you could send in Team Spahi, and then every single one of your players, if it's a 3v3 or 4v4, gets 4 Spahi within, like, 10 minutes. Ridiculously broken. Needs to be changed. So how I would change is, like, age 1, you could only send, like, 200 or 300 resources. Age 2, 500. Age 3, 1,000. Something like that. I think that would make it a lot more balanced. Next thing, treasure guardians that are captured need to have the same multipliers as regular units. So right now, for example, if I capture a tomahawk on the map, there's no multipliers against him, so he can kill villagers very quick, and he can also siege buildings very quick. I think this needs to be reduced a little bit. It could be very strong if you captured a tomahawk, you can go around killing villagers while your opponent has no counter, essentially, or you could take down their first base. I think it's just really silly. I think that should be changed so they have those negative multipliers as they should. Next thing, let gates be made if there is a unit by it. So right now, if you have a unit next to a gate or a unit next to a wall segment and you're trying to make it into a gate, you can't do that. So I just have it to where you can make a gate no matter what, if there's a unit there or not. I don't think that's an issue. I think that's straightforward. Being able to change population cap, simple feature. I think it'd be cool though if you could change the population. So maybe if you're doing like a 1v1 LAN with a friend, you can make it 400 population, and then you can have double the amount of units on the battlefield. I think that'd be awesome. Or it'd be triple, actually. I think that'd be kind of cool, and that's not something crazy to add in. Last one, and this is more of an issue with other players than me because I've been playing a while, but Imperial units need to have different skins than Guard units. So, for example, redcoats. If you're playing with the British and you have the Age 4 Guard upgrade, the redcoats look exactly the same as they do if they're Imperial. This can be extremely deceiving, especially since there's a 50% attack and hit point upgrade with the Imperial redcoats. So that needs to be changed absolutely. I think if they're reskinning everything, you know, especially with a lot of new players coming in, I think it's very difficult to tell the difference of the units. You literally have to click on the unit to see. So some players will have no idea about that. They'll be, why are they so strong? It's because they're literally Imperial. They're basically twice as much. So that, I think that needs to be changed. I think that's a good thing to change, and I don't think it's too hard to do. Other people are talking about how they should even have it to the extent of where you can see specific upgrades on units. So for example, the Musketeers have, if they get the bayonet upgrade, then their Musketeers have bayonets. I don't care as much for that. I think it'd be awesome. I think it's way more work than needs to be done, but it could be very helpful for new players, and it could be a cool feature. I think that should be something Age of Empires 4, not necessarily the definitive edition of 3, but I think that can be a cool feature. So that's all my gameplay changes. We'll get into the game civilization changes, and I need to take a sip right now. I've been slamming words down. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get through this all the way. We'll see. It will be close. All right, so these are changes I would make to the civilizations. This is not like this needs to happen. There are some changes that I'll say that like this needs to happen, but generally some of these are suggestions. I think overall the civs are pretty balanced in terms of the patches. For like the regular patch, they did a pretty good job overall. There are some things that are absolutely broken, but this is from years of playing, and people have not updated the game in forever, so there's some slight tweaks that need to be made, but generally I think the game does a great job, and I don't think they get enough credit for that. So first thing we're going to start off with is France. Obviously, we need to talk about the queer series here. The thing I would do to change this is I would just completely remove the Thoroughbreds card. I think it's way too strong of a card. It makes them not instant. Maybe even without the card, make them have a little bit longer of a train time, like War Wagons. War Wagons have a very long train time. That's good. They're 3-pop unit. They're very strong. They're expensive. Let them have a long train time. It's okay. And I'll keep them the same. Maybe reduce their area of effect a little bit. I don't know the specific stats on that. It's probably 3. Maybe change it to 2. I think that would help out a little bit. But overall, that's all I would change for the cuirassiers. For the rest of France, I would make the Cour des Bois have less HP, or instead I would have it where their Great Coat upgrade costs significantly more. So right now I think it's way too easy to boost up your Kurde boy and make them unrateable. They even have cards that you can send in on top of it. You have the Pioneers and you have the Native Wilderness card or whatever. This needs to be changed. The way I would do it is I would just make greatcoats cost like 300 food or something like that. Make it way more of an investment because they're already boosted. You know, it needs to be like an additional upgrade on top of greatcoats because they already have greatcoats essentially. I understand they're different. They cost more overall, and they gather a little faster. But I think it's still way too strong for their villagers, so I would change that. That's all I would do with France. Next up is Dutch. So with Dutch here, I would make them at a minimum 5 bank limit start. ESOC patch has done this, and a lot with these, some of these are ESOC patches already done, which I think is awesome. I would almost maybe change it to a 6 bank limit start. I think that I would remove those 2 cards age 1 that you have to send in to make this happen, and I think it would just make it great overall. So I definitely change that. It makes them have a lot better eco too. Additionally, I would have it to where they have age 2 mercs, specifically cav and anti-cav. I don't know what cav shipment you would send in for H2 merc, but for the anti-cav, for example, you can send a 500 coin shipment of the Lancashires. I don't know how to say it. It starts with an L. They have the really funny pants. They're like dops, but they act like halberdiers. I think they should have the age 2. It makes them a lot more playable of a civilization. They already have the coin, so it kind of fits in with their playstyle a little bit. I think that's a great thing to change. So I would definitely have that in there as well. That's the changes I would do to Dutch. Japan, I'm trying to limit these to like 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 things to each civilization. I'm not trying to make a huge list here. In general, I think they already did a good job, so. Next thing here. Also, look at this insane wall hack, dude. What is this guy doing marching straight through the native village like this? I've never seen that. Because it would not let me build the wall inside the village, so that needs to be fixed in the definitive edition, absolutely. All right, continuing on here, Japan. This is gonna be interesting. Some people might slaughter me for this, but Japan is insanely overpowered. I think, at least. I think they're crazy strong, especially in the lower level games. Maybe not in the competitive. Lower level games, way too strong. So what I would do is I would have either 2 things need to happen. Daimyos need to be unretrainable. So daimyos cannot be retrained, or they need to be at minimum 1 allowed at a time. Which I think, honestly, I would almost do both of them. So have it where you can only have 1 daimyo at a time, and not have them retrained. I think that's great. Or have their cost way more than it is. I know they're already kind of expensive, but dude, daimyos are way too strong. Especially when you have like 4 of them running around and you can put them in different corners, train blocks of 10 almost instantly. They're way too strong. I don't think their Aurora stacks with each other either, so it's not like you're changing that much. I would let it have the Shogun and the Daimyo at the same time. I don't think there's an issue there. But that's something I would definitely change. Additionally, I would have them have 1 Explorer, and I would make their Explorer the hit points of a regular 1 Explorer Civ. But right now, man, with the ability to use whatever the thing is where it warps back to your town center automatically, Japan's Explorers are way too OP, and they don't need 2 of them. You can't kill them with that ability. So having 2 of them is like insult to injury. There's no way you can kill them. And I think with 1 Explorer, it would give Japan a lot more value on the Explorer. It would make them focus around a lot more where they're building their shrines and stuff, because you can only go one side of the map at a time instead of just spamming all over the place. I think it'd be a good change. And obviously, you'd have to make the hit points good with that and stuff like that. But that's something I would do. Last one, this is an iffy one. Flaming arrows are very annoying. I thought about reducing their range, which you could do, but it's already at 28 range, and for example, a Falconet's at 26 range. Honestly, I think instead of changing the range, I would just make them cost more. They're way too cheap for what they're doing. They're a multiple usable unit. They can take out other artillery. They're decent at taking down units. They're good at taking down ships, you know. So for their use, they're way too cheap. And just overall with the native and Asian civs, they gave them these units that are multiple units in one. It's way too strong. So I would make them cost more. I don't know what cost I would give them. Maybe just double it, honestly. Maybe like 50% more. But it needs to cost more. If not, the range needs to be reduced. But the range is just slightly more in a Falconet, so it needs to be a Culverin, so I just make it cost more. Next up, we have the Ottomans. We're flying. So Ottomans, this is just like the ESOC patch. I would make it to where the rate of fire was changed from 3 to 3.5, which is what's in ESOC patch. That definitely needs to be changed. Additionally, ESOC patch, they have it to where it's 4 Mamluks instead of 5 Mamluks. I definitely think this needs to change. Additionally, I would make it to where the Spahi is 1 less as well. I think the Spahi shipments are way too strong. You can have multiple of them as well. So I would have that reduced as well. I don't think I would change anything else for Ottomans. I mean, it's pretty good. They're pretty good Civ. They're really strong with their fast fortress. But I think those would just help out so much. It's not necessarily the fast fortress. I mean, it is strong. It's very strong. But it just doesn't end. It's the follow-up that makes it so bad. You have the Mamluks and the Spahi coming in, so many of them. You know, it's hard to deal with. So I think that's what I would change. This poor guy gets slaughtered with the militia there. Militia have the multiplier versus Cav. Yeah, so that's what I changed for Ottomans. Iroquois, same thing as ESOC patch. Right now, they can get an extra 100 wood crate instead of food or coin. And then they can make a trade post. Way too strong with the trade post. Needs to be removed. So have the 100 wood as a 100 food or 100 coin crate. And that would be great. That's a great change there. Makes them a lot more balanced net terms. Additionally, the light cannon range needs to be reduced. This is the one, if you thought flaming arrows are hard to deal with, light cannons are next level. Light cannons have 32 range compared to 26 range of a falconet. Unbeatable. Like, you cannot compete with these guys at all. They are decent at taking out infantry. They're pretty good at it. You can get the, it's just crazy. They take down other artillery. They take down ships well. They're decent at taking down buildings, you know, because you can get so many of them. Way too strong. It needs to be reduced at least to 30, maybe even to 28, like the flaming arrow. So that needs to be reduced. Last thing I have on there too is the town destroyer card needs to be changed from 1400% to 700% age 2, and to have it gradually increase as the ages go up. Right now, it's way too strong. You can literally, and I haven't made this a video yet, but you can literally invest all your resources into aging early, send that card immediately. You can go to where your opponents are building their forward bases and siege down their buildings before they're even up. It's so broken, it doesn't need to be a thing. So that's something I would do to help with that, and it would help out. So it's just a small feature. Or maybe have it to where when before the building is going up, it doesn't apply as much or something like that, because it's way too strong with that. You can like instantly take it down. Spain is next. My throat is dying. Spain is next here. Stronger unit shipments, so I would just have it to where shipments have additional units, 1 or 2 added in. Depending on what it is, obviously, maybe like 1 more cavalry or 2 more Rattleros or something like that. Definitely needs to be added in there. Additionally, I would change it so in the Asian dynasties, their XP, so like they get resources, they get shipments faster. This was reduced compared to the vanilla. I would actually change it back to what the vanilla was. I think Diaruga's talked about this before. If it wasn't him, it was someone, maybe it was like Interjection or someone. But they talked about this, and I was like, that's a great idea. I think it would help people play Spain a lot more. And it's not, if anything, maybe just change it a little bit more so it's a little bit quicker. But I think it's good to do that. Maybe even just have like a card where it sends in quicker or something. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just giving Spain some more options. Additionally, a really cool card I thought of for Spain would be like an age 2 trickle, like an age 2 coin trickle. Because right now they have capitalism, age 1. It'd be kind of cool if like India has a second wood trickle. If Spain gets an extra wood, or a trickle as well for coin. I think that'd be kind of cool. I don't know how well it would work or if people would actually use it that much. If you made a certain amount, they would definitely use it. But I think that'd be kind of a cool card to add in. Yeah, so that is Spain. Next up is British. Love the Brits, man. My favorite Civ. And you know they're good when you have nothing to add for them. And so I really had nothing to add. The things I had to change were I would have rockets as 5 population instead of 6. I think 6 is way too big for them right now. Compared to heavy cannons, I think 5 population would be good. Maybe a little bit less of a train time as well, to have people use them more. And then additionally, instead of the Yeoman shipment, I would remove the yeoman shipment. I think it just needs to be where the longbows can be upgraded. And just have them have like an extra upgrade for range, or just have that incorporated into their cost or something. So have like 1,000 food, 1,000 coin, and have that into the cost. So this video is done. I'm going to switch videos here, and we'll get into the next one. I'll keep going on. Alright, so I actually have not watched this all the way through. This looks like Germany versus France on Great Lakes. So hopefully this is a good game. And we'll get into it here. These are just some extra videos where either I lost commentary or something happened, and I didn't have it to where I can make the video. I don't remember. So I mean, I have a handful of these. If you like more videos, I actually post them on Patreon. You could see that in the link below. Quick advert, but if you want more video content, I have like almost 20 videos now on there where I post some extra content. Check it out. It's pretty sweet. So where are we at here? We are jumping into Russia. So Russia, I love Russia. Russia's awesome, but generally pretty weak Civ in some areas. But in some areas very strong. And so I'm here to change some of those features for Russia to make them a little more fair for lower players. So first thing I would do is have that second infantry train time card as a power up. And what I mean by that is, you know how the Asian civilizations have a button you can press and it makes it like attack is good for like 10 seconds or something, like your attack is boosted for 10 seconds or something like that. That's what I would do with this card. And I'm talking about the one where it's the green one, where it's a team card. I would do it for that. And so then the Musketeers aren't always instant. Well, you can do it for maybe like a 10-second period, or Musketeers come out super quick, like instantly. Your Musketeers can come out instantly, and then your teammates can have that too or something. I think that'd be a cool feature. I think that would make it a little more fair, and maybe like every 3 or 5 minutes or something, it resets. I don't know what time-wise would be good for that, but that's something I would change with Russia. I think it'd be a little more fair. And I think it'd be cool too. It makes it more valued when you send out all those Musketeers at once. And it's really fun when you do that. So I like that feature. And they're weaker, so it's okay. Next thing, Opry. We need to change the Oprinchniks. So right now they have a 3-time versus villagers. I would change that to a 2-time multiplier. And additionally, they currently have 75 siege. I would change that to 50 siege. I think they're way too strong overall for what they're... I mean, they're obviously a multifunctional unit. Maybe have it to where they have a little bit higher attack, and then you lower these multipliers. But they're way too strong of a multiplier, man. The villagers die instantly. The buildings go down almost instantly. Especially in mass, they're unstoppable, it seems like. So that's just something I would change. Get wrecked, Native Scout. And then next thing on here is I'll give them the second wood trickle like India does. So I think it'd be really good in team games specifically. To have this option, a little bit more of an eco option with Russia. They don't really have one. So I'll give them the second wood trickle. Kind of like I was talking about Spain, having that second option. I think this would be cool, and they already have the first one, distributivism, and most players send it in first, so it'd be a kind of a cool option to experiment with. I don't know about higher level games if that changed anything, but I would use it in team games, and I think it'd be fun to switch things up a little bit. So that's something you can change there. And then talking about the wood trickles, let's go into India. So right now, the Sepoy are 190 HP. This needs to change. It needs to be 180 hit points. 180 hit points is the exact amount for 2 hits from a town center if the town center is full. So right now, it takes 3 shots for a town center to kill a Sepoy, because the Sepoy has an additional 10 HP. This makes Sepoy way stronger than they need to be. So reducing this down to 180 HP is perfect. Additionally, the Gurkha have, and some people don't even know this, okay? But Gurkha regen hit points on their own. Gurkha heal themselves. And so this is way excessive, way too strong. It does not need to be a thing. So this needs to be removed. Gurkha do not need to be able to heal themselves. On top of it, their Explorer can heal them. So, like, why does this need to be a thing? I don't know. Next thing, I would have the Fort Age 2 have less HP. So right now, I think the fort is way too strong for what it's worth. It completely obstructs part of the map, and you either need to go Age 3 to beat it, or you need to have an amazing Age 2 army full of siege. It's way too much. It's way too strong for India. So what I would do is I would have this as less HP Age 2, and then as you age up, it gains more HP. And I think also that gives India more of a incentive to age up. Because right now there's no reason for you to go any other age but age 2 as India. You have everything you need. You have Gurkha. You have excessively high hit point Sepoy. You have the fort. Like, you have all these things that you need. So that is something that I would change. And I think it's good. Last thing, and this is more like an upper level thing, but I mean, I've seen it in games too. The ceasefire ability with the Taj Mahal is way too strong. So what I would do to change this, and I don't know how people think about this. I've heard it extending the time, lessening the time. What I would actually do is have it to where the ceasefire ends when the enemy decides to attack. So what this would do is you cannot initiate an attack after the ceasefire. The ceasefire is continuing until the enemy decides to attack. I think this would be a great solution to solve this. It would completely remove the issue where you have India doing the ceasefire, surrounding your opponent with excessively strong melee units, and then taking them out. You could not do that anymore. It would make it so the opponent could completely retreat back to where they need to. If anything, it makes it almost more of an advantage for the opponent because then they can have the front foot. But also, it grants the ceasefire ability, so then it could be infinitely long. It would have to decide... obviously, the opponent would have to end it at some point. Maybe you have it after like 5 minutes or something like that. I don't know. Maybe after a whole minute. But have it to where the opponent can have the front foot on that after like the 20 seconds are up or whatever it is, 20 or 30 seconds. After that first time is up, you have a gap period where the opponent can end it. And then before it actually ends overall, I think that'd be great because then the opponent has an option to get on more of the front foot. It's not just very strong for the... person that's doing it. It also makes it to where it's not just a huge positive. Like, obviously, it's extremely strong to be able to stop that. But if the opponent has a little bit of a time where they can take advantage of it, that'd be great. And then, obviously, if you do it, you have to be aware of that. So, I don't know. I think it's 20 seconds right now, so maybe have it to where after 20 seconds, or maybe after 30 seconds, the opponent can initiate an attack period until, like, a minute or something, or a minute and 30. And then it can switch around. I think that'd be good. So I don't know. That's just my thought on that. Let me know your thoughts on that. I've heard people say that it needs to be removed completely or time needs to change. That's what I would change personally with it. Talk way too much about that than I wanted to. China. I do not have anything on here for China. I think China is great. Yeah, I think China's great. One thing maybe that would change is have the villages have, like, instead of being able to put 6 animals on the villages, have it to where they can only put 2 or 3 or something, and then you need to buy an upgrade to get more. I think it's pretty strong that you can just build villages, and then you can have all your herbables on there. It's really strong. So maybe just have a little bit of an investment so you can get more slots for animals or something like that. I think would be kind of cool. Look at that, just going straight into some musketeers with some Ulans, baby. I like it. So that's all I would change with China. I think that's good, honestly. China's great. Maybe have the Kang army have a little bit more attack for the Bocav, but honestly, I think China's good. Aztec. All right, so Arrow Knights, I would change from 2 pop to 1 pop. Arrow Knights are the siege ones that take down the cannons as well. Needs to be 1 population unit. I would also change the Eagle Runner Knights, 30% range resist to 20. Skirmishers and Castadors and stuff like that need to do better against them because they're supposed to be like a Dragoon. They need to have a better counter to it. So that's what I would do for that. And then Coyote Runners, 1.25 multiplier versus Light Infantry because that would help balance it out a little bit. So the Coyote Runners have a little bit better of a multiplier versus Light Infantry. Light Infantry against Aztec can do a little bit better against the Eagle Runner Knights. I think that does a good job there. Just little things I changed there. That's what I changed for Aztec. Sioux, I would have it to where so, okay, this is going to seem like a really weird feature for Sioux. This is just from personal experience. I would have it to where you need to have a town center up to have full fire pit capabilities. And here's why. If you remove a Sioux player's town center in a team game, there's nothing happens. Nothing changes. All the Sioux player needs to do is go in the corner, build a fire pit, and just put on dog soldiers or something, and then they're good to go. Like, there's no reason that a Sioux player even needs a town center, really. Obviously, making villagers. But the fire pit is extremely overpowered just by itself. So what I would do to change that I would have it to where the town center, when the town center is up, the fire pit is fully running, does all of its capabilities. Maybe without the town center, it's at like 50% production or something. I don't know exactly. But that's something that I would change. It might seem like a really weird feature, but I can't tell you how many games I've been in where you take down the Sioux player first, and then after like 5 minutes, they come in with a dog soldier army and like all this stuff, you know? So I think that's crazy. And yeah, I mean, maybe not 5, maybe more like 5-10 minutes, I don't know. But they don't have a town center, they just have the fire pit, and that's all they need. So that's what I would do. I think just silly little change. You could also do it to where the TPs are worth more. So I've heard people do it like they get economic bonuses or something with the TPs. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to give the TPs an extra feature. So that could be something too you could change or add. But yeah, that's what I would have for Sioux. Next thing, Portugal. So I'm buffing Portugal. So poor Portugal here is gonna get it in the face. But first thing, range finding is currently 10 range more. You get 10 more range with range finding. And if you don't know, range finding is a card where your mortars get extra range. I would completely change that to 5. 10 is way too much. So cut that in half. 5 range is great. Additionally, the extra range card for the Dragoons is 6. I would change that to 4. I think 6 is too much. It makes Portugal way too strong in the late game to deal with. And I think that would make it a little more competitive. Additionally, Portugal need more H2 options. So I'd give them an H2 Merc, like the Dutch do. Give them some better Merc options, H2. And then additionally, I would give them 8 Pikes as a card. They need 8 Pikes, I think. And yeah, maybe just a little bit of another option. But there's no really incentive for Portugal to play H2. I give them a little bit of incentive there and then remove some of their extremely strong late game stuff. Here we go, man. This is going to be... I don't know how we're going to pull this off. Should be able to do it. Get some hit and run action in there. Last one here, Germany. I hope I didn't forget anyone. That's all I got. Germany. Remove instant Ulans. Instant Ulans do not need to be a thing. I don't know what... I don't remember if you just send them both train times in their instant or what. That doesn't need to be a thing. Make War Wagons melee resist only for Cavs. So... right now, War Wagons are very, very strong. I mean, they cost a ton, and additionally with them, they're really slow at moving around. So you can really beat them if you move around a lot. But one of the issues I have with them, I think it's too strong, is they do way too good against Musketeers. Specifically in melee, Musketeers do way too low of damage against them in melee. So what I would do is just have it to where the current melee resist only applies against cavalry, melee cavalry, and it doesn't have a melee resist against infantry. I think that make them a little more balanced in terms of like you really need to be careful because right now they just tank so much, specifically against Musketeers. So that's just a little thing in there that I would change. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. Otherwise, I think Germany's generally pretty good. Everything costs a ton for them, and they play good. So I mean, we're playing with them right now. So that's why I change. And yeah, so that's all my civilization changes. Let me know what you think about that. Open to ideas and stuff like that. I think that's the big things I hit. I could have completely missed something that I forgot. If something's really strong, let me know in the comments. I could probably sit here until the definitive edition came out and come up with an infinite list of things. But those, I think, are the main things. I think we hit a decent amount of them there. Look at these amazing shipments coming in here. Some intense battling going on, too. Wow. This is legit. Alright, so next thing we're going to talk about is the new civilizations. Dude, we are flying here on time. It's taking forever. But we'll talk about new civs, maps, and online improvements. This should not take too long. So first thing, new civs. So I would love to see one new civ added for each area. So I'd love to see a new European civ. I'd love to see a new Asian Dynasty civ. I'd love to see a new Native American civ. I've also heard that they might do like expansive civs, so like a new expansion, like you would have like USA, Mexico, Canada, Haiti, Brazil, or something like that. You would add 3 completely different civs. They could do that. That could be kind of cool. I would not be opposed to the United States being in the game. I think that'd be pretty sweet. But at the same time, I think it would just be cool if they added just one for each section. I think that fits it more, especially with them being revolutionary. So yeah, what I would like to do then is add one for each area. So for the European Civ, I would like to add Sweden. Sweden was actually in the game files along with Italy if you look into the coding, but it never came out as a Civ. I would add Sweden over Italy because I know specifically, I don't know about Italy, I know specifically Sweden had colonies that were on the coast in the United States. I'm sure Italy had stuff. I know they were extremely expansive in the Mediterranean, but I think that fits it a little more. And I'd love to see a civilization up there in the Scandinavian area. So I'd add Sweden in. Other options could be Austria or Poland. I think those are also could be good, cool options. But I would do Sweden first, then Italy, then Austria, then Poland. And I think Sweden would be awesome. Italy would be next, and then Austria could even be a cool option. So those are European Civs. I'm going to put up another new video, and we'll jump right back. All right, guys, we are flying here and getting into this third game that's pulling up. You guys are getting multiple games up here. So then, yeah, so that's what I would do for the Europeans. I would Sweden, Italy, Austria, Poland would be the four that I think could be potentially good. I would put Sweden first, Italy, then Austria, then Poland. So for Native American Civs, a lot of different options here that you could do. I would personally love to see a Southwest America's Civ, and specifically because you have the Iroquois in the north, you have in the north east, you have the Sioux in the North and Central America. You have the Aztec in the South Central America. I think the southwest area on that south side of a main America, and you have the western coast. I think that's a little bit neglected, especially the west side there. So I think what I would do is I would either add the Pueblo, the Navajo, or the Apache. I would add one of those three. And I think another cool option outside of those that you could be added would be the Inca, because they were I think they're in Age of Empires too, but I think that'd be a cool add. But I specifically would love to see the Pueblo, Navajo, or Apache, because it's a kind of a theme that we haven't seen before, with their, I forget the name of their huts, but they have the cool architecture that could be added there with the southern. I'll put an image up with the southern desert kind of theme, which would be cool. There's no real desert theme in this game, so I think that could be a kind of a cool add. But additionally, and more historically, they were actually, or the Pueblos specifically, were the natives who successfully revolted against the Spanish in the 1600s. And with that, they're one of the more successful native civilizations or tribes that were rebelling against the Europeans or Americans, whatever you want to say. That region held really great fame for that. And especially you talk about Geronimo, and that happened all the way up to almost the 1900s. It was the very end of the 1800s where they were in those battles. And I think that should be represented. I think that should be incorporated into the game at some point. And that's why I think this region would be cool. Specifically, the Pueblo Revolt is really famous. I talked about with Spain, they revolted against Spain, and they held their own, and they beat the Spanish, and they were one of the few that actually beat the Spanish. So I think that'd be a really cool area. They're really cool religion, and they're famous for their war dances. And I actually went to a Navajo reservation for a month and served there. And it was really neat culture and everything. But I think that should be represented into the game. You already have the South America a little bit with the Aztecs. You have the Northeast. You have the Central. I think the Western side of the Americas needs to be represented. I think that could be done really well. I honestly think they'll probably do the Inca more. I think it's just it's more known in terms of their empire and that kind of stuff. But in terms of a people that need to be that represent really, and it could be awesome representation. They could get cool architecture. They have really rich history and all that kind of stuff. And they have all the history of that revolting. I think that would be great. Probably talk about way too much. I'll try to explain that a little bit because that might be confusing. Why would he choose a Navajo or Apache or them or the Pueblo? That's why I think that area needs to be represented. I think I would love to see that. For the Asian side, I would do Korea or Persia. Persia is obviously a little bit of stretch. I don't know timeline wise if that fits in too well with the Ottoman Empire being there. But definitely the Koreans are a great option. I think that would probably be the most likely target. Persia could also be cool in terms of having more of a desert theme. Isn't really represented in the game too well, other than the Ottomans. So that could be cool. So yeah, those are my two options. Korea is a really, really good one as well. So I think Korea could be in there easily as well. And now we talked about if there were other civilizations outside of it. If you did like new world civilizations, you could have USA, Mexico, Canada. Haiti is really famous for the revolt. Brazil could be in there, cool in there too. So just some ideas, but I would do one European, one native, one Asian, and that's what I do for those. So next up we have the maps here. So what I would do for the maps is I would really work on what they have. I think they have great map structure right now. I love the maps. I think the regular maps are fantastic. Some of the best maps are honestly the first ones. Like New England is one of my favorite maps, but unfortunately New England's hunts are garbage. So they need to really work on the hunt spawns and stuff like that, make the maps more consistent. I think what they have generally is great. I love it, and I think they should continue to work with that. And then so outside of that, for new regions, I think there's some that they could specifically do, but overall I think they did a good job with what they have. Maybe you could take in specific maps from the community that the community made and bring them in. They could do whole new maps on their own, whatever they want. But I would just add in wherever if they have some really big regions that they have in game that they condense it a little bit. I think that would be cool too. So like for example, in the vanilla, they had the Yukon as all of Alaska, northern part of Canada, and then in the expansion packs they added the Northwestern Territories as a map, and kind of specifically took an area of that. So I think they could do something like that. I think that would be a really good feature. I'm trying to think of like a specific area, maybe like Brazil. Brazil is huge. Maybe take a specific area of Brazil and make it into a map. I think they could do more island maps. So maybe like Australia or Polynesia or something could be a good area. I don't think they're going to do Africa. I don't think they're going to explore Africa all. I think it's kind of before the time period. They could totally do that. They could totally go into Africa and make those maps if they wanted to. But that's a little bit past in the time period wise. You could definitely make some more maps in the China area and the Himalayas. Like there's so many different areas in there that you could specifically hit regions for. Like Kamchatka could be in there or something, just as an example, as like a specific region. But overall, I think they do a great job with the maps that they have. That's what I would have in. And I would maybe add like 5 new maps. I wouldn't add a ton of new maps. I think they already have a great map pool number what they have. I think 5 more would be great. Something like that would be awesome. All right, so last thing on here, we have high quality servers and online improvements. I had a little break there. I don't know where it picked up, but we'll be good. He started attacking me with musketeers. So here we go. The first thing I would have on here is change your online status. I would have it to where you don't have to show up as online all the time. You could change that to busy or do not disturb or something like that, or you don't get messages. That needs to be a thing. Not saying that I don't like messages from you guys, but there are times where I'm trying to make, for example, I'm trying to make a deck guide, right? And I just get constant messages from people inviting me to games and stuff. Can't make a deck video with all that happening. There have been times where I had to completely change times and do it where no one's online that I knew. So that's just a thing that needs to be on there. Dedicated servers, obviously, the servers need to be upgraded. If anything happens in Age of Empires 3, that's the biggest thing. The whole video, better servers, better online experience, that's what needs to happen. More avatars, I think they have tons of different ones that they could add in here. Like George Washington from the campaign and stuff like that, they could definitely add that in. Different units, like they should have all the units on there so you can represent what you like. I think that'd be great. Spectator mode, just like the UI versions have that. I think that should be a feature that's added in there. I think that'd be awesome. Spectator mode is amazing, and it's great for tourneys and stuff, and I think that'd just be a great feature if they added in. Next thing, better ELO ladders, ELO ladders. This is not as much for me specifically. I don't care, honestly, as much as other people do. I know other people care a lot more. But this probably needs to change. I think that they could do a better job overall with that. Here comes with the villagers. This is hilarious. But yeah, I think that needs to change overall. So I don't know what they would do to make that better, but at least fix it up a little bit, make it a little more balanced. With all these Smurf accounts and stuff too, it's really difficult. So I think that's another thing that could be changed. Maybe have it to where you can only have so many accounts. And then with that, you know, like they could have it to where, look how much he's committing to this. Holy cow. They could have it to where you can only have so many accounts with one account. So like, for example, maybe have like your main account for future, maybe it's like Age of Empires 4. You have your main account, and then you have like 2 or 3 accounts with that. So then, like, obviously you can have other accounts, but limits to how many you can really have. I don't know. That's something that they could do. I love this strategy, man. This is awesome. Japan, get wrecked. Like, there's those 2 explorers coming in action. Japan just not dying with those shrines. Next thing, anti-cheat needs to be in there. It's an ESOC patch to do a great job with that. Anti-cheat needs to be in. Do not disturb. Talked about that earlier. Voice chat support needs to be in there. Pretty straightforward. Mute player needs to be in there. You need to be able to mute players that talk like nonsense garbage. Need to be able to mute people. And with that, you need to be able to mute voice chat if you want to, whatever. So that needs to be changed. Be able to invite members to a clan when offline. So this is like first world problems, right? I cannot invite people to the clan if they're not online with me. It doesn't make any sense. It's really silly. So that needs to be changed, and I think that's an easy fix. So that can be changed too. Remove home city. So I'm getting distracted by my own game here. Look at Japan just carry. Remove home city level. This doesn't need to be a thing anymore. Just have it to where you have all the cards unlocked and you can choose whatever you want. There's not a big enough community and there's not enough people playing for it to be a thing right now. So it definitely needs to be changed. Failed to join game error fix. This is the last one on here. So the failed to join game error needs to be removed. It needs to be refixed. Let's say with like OOS. OOS needs to be removed. That needs to be fixed. I don't know exactly what they would do with that, but it needs to be fixed. It's way too big of an issue, and especially the failed to join. Like that is so outdated. I'm surprised that's even a thing still. So those are the things I would change and fix in this game, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I really enjoy doing this kind of video. If you want me to do this for Age of Empires 4, let me know. If you want me to do this later on for Age of Empires 3, once we get some knowledge of what's going on, I'll definitely do something similar. But let me know your thoughts, man. I'm going to fast forward this to like towards the end and see what happens here. Because we're running out of time. Looks like he's like surviving on thin ice. This is awesome. But yeah, those are my biggest things. Overall, what I would rank in terms of things that need to change the most, I would definitely have all the server stuff needs to be changed. That's the biggest thing that needs to be changed overall. Civ Balances would be next, I think. Just a slight tweaks, just a little bit to each Civ would be great. And I think that's a great change. Specifically like France with the instant cav and Russia with the Opry, like some of those are just way too strong when they don't need to be. So those I would change. Additionally, probably next thing on the list would be some of those features I was talking about in the beginning. So with all that stuff, dude, this guy is running around like a madman. This is hilarious. I would definitely have. I'm trying to think what were some of the priorities on there. Just like the glitches, all the glitches need to be fixed. Random civilizations added in there. Those kind of things are what I would do next. Then new civilizations and stuff after that. But those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. I'm so thankful and appreciative of you guys. Let me know how I can improve this video and this content, how to be better, more beneficial. Is the gameplay background okay? Do you want me to have something else up? I don't know. There's only so many things you can do when I'm talking for forever. But yeah, let me know your thoughts as always, and then I'll see you guys in the next one.